Well, before we get to some audience polls, I have to ask. Maho mentioned the sort of the shallowness of the population across the country. Two-part question: does that lack of population sort of send up a flare to ne'er do wells, governments, corruption, etc., that says, "Hey, we can take these resources. We have a handful of people we have to topple. It's not a very
Mm,
populated place. It's just sitting there." Is
mm,
like the thing that makes it beautiful and unique, also the thing that makes it vulnerable. And then, secondly, with a film like this, where so many of the audiences that have the ability to help and raise the red flag being thousands of miles away, maybe not even living in Chile, right? Most likely
mhm.
not living there. How do you get them to care and take action? What's the plan for
Good
that?
questions. Yeah. First answer, yes. There's not that many people, so sometimes it's hard to know whether there's a company that comes and start uh, exploiting or exploring for minerals, or they might start building a hydro project without
Hmm.
permits. This is the usual modus operandi, the way they work. But I think the root of the cause is that Chile is a country that was colonized. So first was, and you see this in the film and its history. First, the Spanish came. They took a bunch of gold and richness, and then it's the government of Chile. But it wasn't until the 1970s, after the coup, 1973,
Yeah.
Pinochet's coup,
Pinochet.
that
Yeah.
resources become to get privatized. And that's really the main problem. That's where things got really messed up, not just for the indigenous communities, but for all of us. Because water got privatized. Chile is the only country in the world where water, 100% of the water is privatized. What does it mean? It means that if you live by a river, the water that flows in the river you cannot use.
Hmm.
Someone owns it. Someone bought the stocks to that water, or the underwater. If you buy land, the underwater water also you cannot use. Also, healthcare was privatized, social security, all the main companies like electricity, everything. So it's a country run by corporations. So they're using the country as a company. So that's the main problem. That even though people might want to stop a lot of the projects, it's really hard because they're privately owned or they're in private lands. But before there were private lands, most of the lands were indigenous lands. So these communities are reclaiming what's theirs, and it's not easy. They're putting their bodies on the line. They're like sacrificing everything. Like it was really humbling for me that I always felt like an environmentalist and I care about the world. I try to not consume a lot and think about where the things that I buy come from, make sure that they're fair trade, organic, or support small businesses. But there's a point where you realize the people that are really like risking their lives to protect the river. That's a whole another level. So my deepest
Hmm.
gratitude to people that are doing that work, and I just feel so lucky to be able to help tell those stories. And for people that are going to see this film, I think for me more than just caring about Chile is to see the similarities that are happening to the places where they live here in the Bay Area or the Central Valley, East Coast. There's a lot of native communities here that are fighting the exact same kind of problems here in the United States. So it's to realize the film shows a pattern that it doesn't always applies just to Latin America or Africa. You'll say like the global South, the poor countries. It's also happening here. And just to end that idea, if people want to learn more about it, I think, and a lot of people think that Chile was kind of a test
Hmm.
of what is starting to happen here in this
That's
country right now.
exactly what I was thinking, because I didn't
So
think
my,
about water, but
yeah.
but but I thought about the great documentary by Andy Garcia's wife, Future of Food,
Mm-hmm.
and where slowly but surely Monsanto has bought up and privatized seed.
All the
And so I
seeds.
think the ultimate chess move there is, oh, you can't grow food without paying us. You can't have a garden at your house. You growing
Right.
tomatoes? Those are our tomatoes. We have the rights to those tomatoes. And that's happening now.
It's
That's
Exactly.
been happening for
that's
some time.
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think that's an incredible answer to the question, which is why take action seeing a film about a country that's so far away? It's because the reason it's so far away is because they want to test it out where you don't notice it. So they can
Yeah.
bring it to your shore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think globally,
Yeah.
act locally.
Yep. I
I
love
mean,
that.
I want to just address something that Nick asked specifically. It's how do you get people to care? I mean, what I've learned is when you tell real stories of real people's lives and you show their lives, we care about them, and suddenly we have a stake in it, right? We have a stake in their struggle, and it makes it real. Otherwise, it's this abstract, right? To a lot of
Yeah.
people in the United States, the environment, protecting the environment is an abstract. Oh, I recycle, I compost, I make a donation to the Sierra Club. Those are all good things. I'm not suggesting they're not, but we're
Right.
talking about people who are doing much more, right? And there are people of the earth, and so their spirituality, leads them to a place where everything on the earth is sacred, and so we have to. They would say first, and not so much protect and defend. They'll get to that point, but it begins with respect. You have to respect the earth. So, when we hear these horrible stories about hundreds of people being killed, annihilation in Gaza of the Palestinian people, it's not that we don't care. We're horrified and shocked, but it's abstract. If you suddenly know that person who was killed, if you know that family, the mother and her two children, then it suddenly becomes real. And so that's the strength in the kind of storytelling that we've learned how to do. And that's why you have to make that commitment of time, because you only get close enough to be able to reveal what is really happening in someone's life by building trust and spending days, weeks, months, and years.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
But
that was true
it's
for
super
me,
meaningful.
Chris. Yeah, I was going to say that was true for me with COVID because
Oh, okay.
just because the idea that people were dying from COVID, it was abstract because I knew people who, had COVID. At one point I got COVID, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a really bad cold and it just sucks. And then you get over it. And it's just like, it's not as bad as it seems. You hear it, you know it.
Yes.
And then I had a neighbor die from COVID.
Yeah.
And then it got
It just
real.
changes your whole perspective on things when it's
Yes.
that close to you and you have a relationship with not only the person, but now a new relationship with that disease. So I totally hear you. It's like, if you can actually, I'll just say, empathize, if you have a reason, a grounding in the empathy associated with something, then it changes the nature of your call to action. So I'm totally with you on that, Will.